Hello and welcome back to another Warlords of Draenor video. This time I'm going to be covering something that was actually rather unexpected. So as it turns out, they are revamping Blackfathom Deeps. Why? I don't know, but apparently they're going to be doing that. And now, just before we get into the video, I need to say thank you to the people over at BlizzPlanet who have allowed me to use some of their footage in the background. Be sure to go and check out their YouTube page and website because they have a lot of Warlords coverage. So then, Blackfathom Deeps. Well, this is really confusing actually, because Blackfathom Deeps has got absolutely nothing to do with the story of Warlords of Draenor. I suppose the other revamps that we know about don't really have much to do with Warlords either, but it certainly is pretty damn cool looking, and it's definitely welcome. As for the actual revamp itself, well, they've basically spruced everything up, and what's interesting about it is that they're using this new scenario-like dungeon system. It is a full 5-player dungeon, yes, but it seems to have this scenario-style objective pane on it, and apparently that's leading to some problems with quest completion, so we probably just need to wait to see what happens there. But I think it's a actually rather good way of showing off how to do one of these dungeons, especially because it allows for bonus bosses to be easily integrated into the UI, so that people know what they can go and do, but also they know that, well, there are bosses there that they can kill for loot, because often times maybe a bonus boss in one of those old dungeons could just go missed or unnoticed, or people could sort of go past it. Well, now the information's nice, it's out there, and it's easy for them to get. So that is certainly a good thing. Now, they've also sort of changed a little bit of the story of the instance. There are far more Twilight's Hammer cultists, especially on the top floor. Previously, the Twilight's Hammer pretty much owned the whole bottom floor of the place, and the top floor was mainly Murlocs. That's a little bit different. Sure, the Murlocs are there, but it's mainly the Twilight's Hammer. Story-wise, they are doing their usual thing. Basically, there's this monster thingy at the bottom called Akumai, who are trying to basically win over to their side and, do Twilight cultist-style things. Also do the old gods and that stuff. So they're there trying to do that, and another cool thing is that the Murlocs have also been revamped. They have got new models, and they actually look really just really nice. So it's definitely great to see that. I love Murlocs. These ones look great. They also have new sounds, which sound great too. So that's definitely good to see. Also, a lot of the bosses are different, but the overall instance does follow the same structure as the old one. Akumai and Garum Ra are still there, however their abilities and models are different, though Garum Ra's old unique model is still going to be available because that turtle's son is a new NPC that's behind it that is tameable by hunters. So if you really want that turtle, then you absolutely can get it. Okay, so let's just go through the bosses of the instance. The very first one is Garum Ra, who we talked about, who's just the turtle guy that we all know. Then there is a ogre called Thruk, who is just an ogre you kill. The interesting thing, though, is that in between Garum Ra and Thruk, we actually have got two bonus bosses. One of them is called Domina. She is the replacement for Lady Sharvez, or whatever, the Naga witch. So, yeah, that's a new boss. Her lore is that she's just feeding the cultists and innocent things into some sacrifice to awaken the old gods, which is usually what these Twilight people like to do. There's then also a guy called Subjugator Korgul. He is responsible for killing Galahast, who was the old Murloc boss. A little bit sad there, and really once you're done with him, that's kind of you through with the Murlocs. And then, you just move into the bottom floor of Blackfathom Deeps, which is probably what most people know the best, and that's where you'll find the rest of the bosses. So after you kill Thruk, you move on to Executioner Gore, who's really just the Twilight's Hammer guy. Not really much, of note about him. And if you want, you can jump into the water, and then you can find the Guardian of the Deep, who is a replacement for the old Thrasher boss. And apparently he's quite a lot harder, from what I've heard anyway. And yeah, you can kill him, and you swim up, kill the Twilight Lord Abathiel, who is the leader of the Twilight guys inside Blackfathom Deeps, and then finally you'll find Akumai to kill and complete the whole thing. So that's basically it for your little rundown of what's going on in Blackfathom Deeps. In terms of what we've learned though from this, well, they're definitely revamping more than we originally thought. That's for sure. Obviously, we thought it was just going to be Upper Blackrock Spire. That is clearly not the case, because Razorfen Crawl and the other Razorfen place have been revamped. This has been revamped. And this really has been significantly revamped. We've got quite a few new models for bosses. We've got new encounter mechanics for bosses as well. There's new spell effects, there's a new story. They really are going kind of all out on it, which is rather bizarre to me because, well, why would you be here in this level 23 place? According to the BlizzPlanet article, they couldn't see any real indication of this being a level 100 thing, though I've got to imagine it will be there at level 100 as a heroic because, like, honestly, it just doesn't make much sense to revamp this and then have nothing, you know, just, like, have it be there pointlessly, doing not much. I think that would be strange. However, there was one interesting thing that BlizzPlanet did point out, and that is that in Mists of Pandaria, they seemingly randomly revamped Ragefire Chasm. Didn't make a great deal of sense until patch 5.4, so perhaps there is going to be something going on with Blackfathom Deeps and the Old Gods at the end of Warlords of Draenor. Just around a bit of speculation, but hey, that could be a thing. Anyway, so I suppose there's that. The other thing we learned is, of course, this method of them using the scenario interface to communicate the objectives of a dungeon. Perhaps that could lead to dungeons with more varied objectives than just your traditional, you know, go kill a few bosses. And while that would be interesting, I'd be worried that Blizzard would get a little bit carried away with it, so hopefully dungeons just stay as being traditional dungeons. I know that sounds maybe a little bit boring, but it's certainly what I prefer. Still, it is nice to see them putting some work into old stuff. We've yet to find out why. I suppose maybe just some people in the team had no more work to do after their part of Warlords was done, though that doesn't make a great deal of sense, because surely they just want to move those teams onto new things. Bizarre. But still pretty cool. I'll be covering the 2 new Razorfan places later on, but for now, that's just a quick little look at the new Blackfathom Deeps. I think it's pretty nifty, and maybe we'll see if this fits into some sort of overarching plan that Blizzard has. Hell if I know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.